Maria Cherwick. All right. Ready to go?
I think so.
Let's do it.
All right, so my presentation is about trying new things. It's a glimpse into my personal RPM process and how I held myself accountable by sharing a lot of these steps with the internet as I went along. And I feel like I kind of, anyways, let's move on. So my inspiration to start the RPM was, first of all, hearing about it through the scope, but also my brother, Jacob Cherwick, who has completed 12 RPM albums. He is so famous he made it onto MTV News. I've played on some of them, including Whisper Room. You might remember Banana Vacuum.
Yeah!
So anyways, first of all, make it official. 2018, I first signed up for RPM. I had no idea what I was doing. I didn't write anything, not even fiddle tunes at that point. And I was like trying to get into songwriting maybe, but then I realized I don't really write lyrics or anything, so like let's see what happens. February 16th, February 25th, keeping the public updated on what's going on. It's not going well. But I kind of realized anything goes at this point, and so I started just kind of like, at this point you had to write 10 tracks, and I was like, you know what, it doesn't matter, let's just write 10 tracks, and that's great. So a couple of them ended up being punk songs, a couple of them ended up being fiddle tunes. If you've ever seen the H. John Benjamin skit where he writes a jazz album and he's never played the piano before, that's kind of what I felt like. A year later, not much had changed. I was still feeling really not very good about how things were going. It felt very stressful and just like a lot coming at me all the time, but was just about getting things out there into the world. But also, let's talk about imposter syndrome. One thing that the RPM did teach me was I didn't believe that any of my music was like real music, and then once it was recorded and I listened back to it, it felt like a real song versus like just hearing it in my head. Anyways, moving on. I started acquiring more instruments. I got a bass, I got a banjo, I got a few more things that are gonna show up right away. And for a long time I thought like, oh, I'm a professional violinist and what's the point of doing anything if I'm not as good at it as I am at the violin? And then I realized that it's just fun and I can play other instruments even if it's poorly. So I tried playing the cello. I tried playing this weird thing with a lot of strings called the bandura. And I started trying to incorporate these into my RPMs. I also experimented a bit with looping, which I had never done before. It was very difficult, but I figured it out. This is a really grainy screenshot from my Instagram story archive. You can see that I had to fix a lot of things. Anyways, here's me recording some pop punk vocals. And then this is like kind of the coolest thing ever is that I covered my own song in an acoustic banjo version because I wrote a song about my cat and it was really great and I wanted to be able to actually play it at a gig, so then I did that. And also a lot of things went wrong. Like if you live downtown, you will hear Hits FM coming through your microphone at all times. So I covered it in tinfoil, that still didn't work. My bass broke on February, whatever day that was. And then in the past couple of years, 2022, I recorded a piece on February 28th. 2023, February 28th, I did some drugs and recorded an improvised RPM that night. So it does get easier. It's not always as daunting as the first time that you try to do it. Also, I recommend getting a cat because it's really helpful to have somebody to keep you company and keep the morale up because it can get really dark. But clearly he's a very helpful assistant. So we're about at like February 27th, 28th, 29th, if it's a leap year. This is how we're feeling. And you gotta just push through. and it's still possible to get it done. I usually don't start until about the 24th or 25th of February, and I've gotten it done every time. I'm also very blessed, once again, to have my brother Jacob, who is a wizard at playing a lot of instruments and sound editing and mixing, and he has saved my ass many years in a row here, as you can see. So yeah, reach out to your friends, and they might be able to help you with things. And then you have to create album art. Just when you think like all the work is done, you're like, oh crap, I'm gonna upload this or print this CD, and now I need that. So I would procrastinate by designing my own album art. It's not great, but it's something. And then the album drop, which I miss so dearly, at the old Rocket Bakery, where you used to put your CD through the slot. Jacob and I had to drive up once. There was a dollar store on Torbay Road that still sold CDs, and so we would be like going up there on March 1st trying to find CDs that we could burn our things onto. And all in all, yeah, you're gonna feel really stupid for a lot of it if you don't really know what you're doing, like me. But you will also be very proud of yourself in the end, and I think it's very worth it, and I've learned a lot, and I've ultimately had a lot of fun doing it, even if it was very stressful. So I highly recommend it. And go watch this video if you haven't already, because it's amazing.